I finished this book last night and it just keeps percolating in my brain. Not the right word, but I decided to do a review video for it then because I'm just thinking about it so much. And when I wrote my review for Goodreads, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long. It's like I need to cut parts out, but then I didn't even mention parts. So here we are doing the video, and I'm definitely gonna put spoilers in this section. So be prepared for a spoiler section. Hi, I'm Morgan. If you haven't been here before, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy it and we'll check out some of my others. Now, we need to talk about this book. This book I had heard about, I think it was on one of my Monday videos, and I was like, that sounds cool. That sounds neat. It's a sci-fi thriller book. I am into this description. So, yes, we're gonna try it. And this cover is gorgeous. And I get the reason why there's a bird on it now. The birds are important. Remember that, the birds are important. Let's talk about characters first. So our main character, and the one who we'll actually see through the whole time, is Asuka. She is half Japanese and American, and she has this, she holds on to grief and guilt like a lot. That is her thing through this book. Like, most of it though is she doesn't feel worthy of being there. She doesn't feel like she belongs. She was kind of a last minute pick to be able to go on this mission. And because she is only half Japanese and she's supposed to be representing Japan, she doesn't feel like she's the right candidate. She doesn't, what is the word? I knew it earlier. Imposter. She's having imposter syndrome because, like I said, she's only half Japanese. She is the alternate there, like, as in she does not have a specific designated role where everybody else on the ship does. So she has nothing she excels at. She doesn't feel like she's smart enough like everyone else. Well, she's comparing herself to like rocket scientists and genius computer programmers. Come on, yes, okay. But she is actually very smart, and she has a hobby. I don't know, her favorite thing is birds. She loves birds. That's partially why the bird's there. So her favorite thing is birds, and in her virtual simulations there's always birds, and the AI that's talks to all of them, you know, is always telling her things about birds throughout the book. So, but Asuka, it's a lot of guilt that she's dealing with from her past through to the present, and the imposter syndrome, and she holds grudges. She holds grudges for a long time, but you work through all of that kind of through the book, a little bit. And through her though, we will see her best friend Ruth, who is strong-willed and stubborn and has her own moral compass. And Ruth is the communication specialist for the ship, and her and Asuka have been fighting though since right before the ship left, I think. So we see Ruth, who is strong-willed and stubborn and all like this, which is funny because you don't see that from Asuka at first, but she has those same characteristics. She could be very driven and very strong-willed. Like, that's what, like, all the characteristics her mother listed, like, she loves her and everything because of this. She's so fierce, and she goes for, you know, what her dreams are. She works towards them. But when you're seeing Asuka for most of the part of the book, since she is dealing with this feeling she doesn't belong, she is doing just like what she's told. This is her assignment. She does this. So she's not showing, you know, her strong-willed determination except in this task that she's doing. But, you know, when her and Ruth are together, like, that's why they didn't get along at first, because they were both so strong-willed, and, you know, but that made them become best friends, you know, once, you know, they were on the same side. I need to move on though. Next, we are introduced, I think, to Yume, yeah, who is one of the commanding officers of the ship, and she is very, very pregnant and very nice, but she also has this feeling that she should not be in the position that she is. She doesn't think she's right for leadership because, you know, she just doesn't feel like a leader. But Asuka, you know, tells her, hey, you are the best for this position because you actually listen to other people's opinions. You do it in such a way that people feel okay with coming to you and telling you their ideas and telling you their problems with how things are, which that's a good leader. Yes. So you meet her, and she is very integral into how the things play out. And then you meet Lala. Lala is an interesting character for sure. I can't say she's strong strong-willed, but she is very determined. Very determined. And she knows how smart she is. She knows how to do her job. She's confident though. It's not strong-willed, but she is confident. Though, will she hold a grudge? Yeah. And at one point I even said, as like they were communicating towards the end of the book, when things going down, they're on a desperate timeline and she's acting this way, and I'm like, just, oh my God, stop being a biatch, because like this serves no purpose. You guys are like, I think they're 20, and you're acting like a stupid teenager. You're on a deadline where you can all die, and you're gonna, play this blame game thing. Get over yourself. But yeah, they do work together after that. So, okay, the actual description of the book, now that we've broken down the characters a little bit, is the ship, the Phoenix, was sent off from Earth as a save humanity sort of mission, because the book says Earth is on the edge of environmental collapse. So they have gathered and trained 80 individuals to be able to send them on this one-way mission to planet X, which is what they call it. I don't know how far away it is exactly. I don't know. But all of the individuals, though, were in a school from the age of 12, like it was a huge international contest, lottery sort of thing. And the ones picked, more than 80, like hundreds. Don't remember. Hundreds, though, were picked and sent to this school at the age of 12, and they were there for the next 6 or 7 years, and slowly it was whittled down and whittled down and whittled down. And it was by grades and health, because if they started to find health problems with you, then you couldn't go on the mission to save humanity. If you might die, because there are things that are treatable here on Earth that they're like they would not be able to treat this in space. Physical fitness, mental stability, I said one thing on it, and also that they needed to be smart in specific fields, and just the ability to be able to run the ship, control the ship, or be leaders and stuff like that. And our main character, Asuka, she's smart. Like, I hated that she didn't think she was smart, because she was comparing herself to rocket scientists. Sure, she had to try harder, because in her years before that, she did not have normal schooling. She had been a refugee. She lived for 2 years in a refugee camp after California wildfires had wiped out their home. And then her and her mom moved to Japan, which is how she got entered to be one of the Japanese candidates. But she doesn't speak Japanese, that's one thing I didn't like about the book, especially because, nope, not now, later. Book description first. But the Phoenix is on this trip. They're about halfway through their trip, and they have started waking up the crew a little bit for reasons we'll also discuss later, when something catastrophic happens and the ship is knocked off course. And now they are having to find out who did it and what happened, and try to find a way to get back on course to get back to planet X. The book description says that Asuka is immediately suspected, but that's not right. She is not immediately suspected in the book. I don't know why they put that in the description. But she is the one investigating it the most, because the captain asked her to. So that's not immediately suspected, because she was asked to do the investigations. After the description, the plot, because it revolves mostly around her investigation and finding out what happened with the bomb that knocked them off course, who put it there, how did it get there, and it's a very twisty-turny. And also, what you wouldn't have gotten from the description is that it is a split timeline, as we are on the ship, and when we are years before. That's how we find out about the school, because they are showing us them at school. Well, first, Asuka, you get her flashback is before school, when they were in California with the wildfires and what happened. And then you start to get her at school, and her making friends with the other girls, and friends that leave, and how this, and like you see her working so hard to try to be as smart as them, to try to make the grades, to try to make the cut, to make the competition. She's with other Japanese people. I mean, yes, languages are hard. No, everybody can't learn it. Like, I do not have an ear for languages. I can pick some up, sure, but some people do. And you're there, you're surrounded by it. You know some phrases because your mom has talked to you, and a little bit over the years, which why didn't her mom teach her more? I don't know. Maybe she just is like me and she doesn't have the ear for it. But all those 7 years that you're there, you could have been learning Japanese while you're there too. I'm pretty sure that the studies work that when you're learning a language alongside learning something else, it's easier. But the present of The present timeline on the Phoenix, though, is mostly Asta's investigation after what happened, as she is finding out like who set the bomb, who did this, how did this happen, and trying to put the pieces together. And it really shows how she thinks about things and thinks through things, and the birds and how they came into play, and how the AI comes into play into it, because you're like, it keeps bringing up things about birds. She keeps seeing birds in her artificial AI, and you're like, this has got to be a clue, right? Like, why is she the only one doing this? Why is this happening? And like, you find out something and you're like, okay, maybe that's it. But why though? Why would that be what's happening? So that was very, very interesting. I liked that, and it makes you question it, it makes you think, and it was a clue. It was totally a clue. Points in the book's favor is it does have very short chapters, and at the beginning of each chapter it tells you like which timeline you're in, because it'll say like this many cycles, which is like days, since departure or before departure, since the bomb. Yeah. One thing that the book excelled at, though, was looking at emotional states, the emotional states of the crew as they have been woken up from this cryosleep 10 years after they're gone, and what they're having to deal with, like the feelings of loneliness or isolation, or in Asuka's case, you know, the imposter syndrome is very strong with her, the feelings of guilt, and then as well as the crew is expected to have babies. This is also the first problem with it. Should I say this? We'll talk about that later, the problem later. And Asuka is having huge problems with fertility. Like, she has gone through the in vitro cycle several times now. I don't think it says, but I don't remember how many times she's tried this. And it's just not sticking. The emotional state is what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So her dealing with this feeling not good enough in this aspect, as well as not feeling good enough to be the Japanese representative or smart enough, because she's an alternate and doesn't have a specific set job, and everybody, you know, called her the alt. And also her name, even like half the people call her Susie, which I'm not sure why, like if that's the translation of her name or whatever, because I don't think it says her whole name maybe until the end of the book, and nothing in that sounds English. Even her last name does not actually sound English. So there's that. Then finally, the point in its favor is the separation from reality. Yes, they're on this spaceship, but they have this virtual reality chip in their mind that does give them this AI connection so that they can, you know, talk to AI, they can send the messages, they can do the complicated things, but it also connects to their ocular implants, so they don't have to see the ship. They all get to see their own personalized, you know, whatever they want it to look like. So there's a very big separation of everybody in the ship, as they're all kind of living in their own worlds within the ship, interacting with each other. Like, they'll see people come into their world, but they can't see each other's. Like Susie's is full, I call her Susie now. Asuka's is full of the birds. Like, she imagines forests, or when things start going wrong a little bit, she imagines her house that burned down, and so she's seeing the fire, or she's seeing the refugee camp that they lived in for one point. It's a lot. Everybody's is different. Like Gabriella's is a lot of sea creatures. Ruth's is, or was it Lala's? One of them has their family brownstone, where they're waiting for their parents to come home with their favorite meal. So just the way that the book dealt with emotions is like everybody's like in their own perfect bubble, because this is their happy place, and their feelings of separation, or their feelings of not being good enough, or guilt and trauma. And because it is people from all over the world, there is also slight bits of racism. This is more seen in the past, as like what Lala had to go through, and a few, not really Asuka as much, but a few of the Chinese delegates had to go through. So it was a lot. There was a lot of emotions looked at and worked through in kind of the background of the book, I want to say. Some of it was the foreground, because, you know, with the bombing was that part of the motivation. Let's go ahead and make this the spoiler section. We will move into the spoiler section. No, it will not all be negatives. Right, brain? We'll figure it out as we go. Okay. So turn back now if you don't want the spoilers. Alright, so the first thing is about the crew. Hopefully everybody's really, really going now. Alright, it's an all-female crew. 80 females. It never really explained why. it didn't. I mean, it's a pro-feminism thing, I guess. I just don't fully agree with that mindset. Because the reason why they woke up 10 years in, and they're only halfway through their journey here, is so that they can get pregnant. Because the mindset of the mission leaders who planned for this was for them to have the hard part of the little people raising before they have to colonize the planet. Which never really explained how they're supposed to colonize the planet either. With the way their ship's set up and the design of it and everything, it doesn't seem like they were sent with those sort of supplies. Or that they were really prepared to do that. They were trained for the specific missions of the ship. So I don't know about that either. But it's a tiny ship. Like, even the book, it even pokes fun at the fact that the designers of the ship, with the way they made their showers, they did not consider that pregnant people would be bigger. It's only barely enough room for you to turn around as a normal sized person. And then when, you know, you're pregnant and one of them is pregnant with twins, there's no space. And their sleeping bunks arrangements. The crew quarters don't sound like there's room for children. And they have a nursery, sure. But so everyone's going to leave all the babies in the nursery and sleep somewhere else? Separated and all the babies all together? And where did the toddlers sleep? It's a little ship. And there sounds like there's not actually room for children. So how did they expect this to go with toddlers on a tiny spaceship? And also, how are you supposed to get the toddlers to go to sleep? They acted like they weren't sure they had enough, like, sleepy medicine. Like if they were too far off course. So how are you going to knock all these toddlers out? And is that safe? They had barely even tested it on, like, their own age peoples. And the all-female crew. I don't agree with this, because while single mothers can totally do it, or only having just moms, you can still raise boys. Of course you can. But it just doesn't seem fair to this new world you're starting, that some of you will have boys, and you give them no one that looks like them, no one that they can look up to, that can teach them the specific, you know, boy things, like how, you know, boy things work. So I'm struggling with that with my own kid, you know. Moving on. I feel like I'm probably not going to leave that last comment in the video because I don't know. I'm not the right person to talk about that part. I know a lot of people like the representation of this book and like how it did have all of this, but then it was missing that other representation. And there's just this one part, this one particular thing that didn't sit right to me because I feel like it would put, there's already so much mental strain on all of them, and to have him have to go through that particular part, it just didn't sit right to me. But you know, it's a very personal decision that would be up to the individuals, of course. But it's a whole female crew, which was one of the things that they protested on Earth, of like, you're not taking man, why, and that was never explained. It was whatever. And I don't get how they're supposed to colonize the planet, where their supplies were for that, how they were even remotely trained to be able to. Yeah, okay. Did I have any other issues? Nope, mostly that the ship is not designed for pregnant people and babies in space. Yeah, I think it's a standalone, though I guess they could do another one where they actually do get to where they're going and answer how in the world they're gonna, you know, actually colonize, but I don't think so. I think we're gonna leave it here because it was a good ending. It's a bittersweet kind of ending, you know. As she accepts that she might never have kids, and she's okay with that now. She doesn't feel bad, sad, or guilty when she looks at everybody else that's pregnant around her. So that's good. She has finally accepted herself and likes herself for her, and sends a message back to Earth to her mom saying she forgives her mom and she understands, and you know, she does miss her and she loves her, and she's sad that, you know, they might never be able to speak again, and she's definitely sad that she'll never see her mom again. And so I was like, feelings. Okay, we'll exit the spoiler section now and tell you the review. So if you did watch the spoiler section, the review, the rating, you'll think that, you know, you won't think that I did hate this book. Hopefully you didn't click off if you didn't agree with some of the things I said. It was a 4.25 because I couldn't stop thinking about the book. I really did enjoy it. I like the concept of it, of we're in space and it's a mystery thriller investigation. There was just, is this her first book? There was some nitpicky things. This book touches a lot of heavy things too. Emotion, loss, grief, trauma, infertility, racism, orientation. I feel like there's something else. I don't know. But I mean, it did do things well. It did. I just did not personally agree with some things. One is apparent, and you know, the design and the thought process behind the design of their ship. Nope. And the other one, I just, also as a parent of a boy, I feel like that's something that they would miss out on in their, you know, new world that they're building. That, spoilers, try not to say that and try not to be negative too, you know. Hopefully people aren't going to hate me for that. If you enjoyed this video though, I would highly recommend and appreciate if you would check out some of my other videos if this was your first one and you didn't hate my thoughts there. Because like I said, it's just my personal thoughts as a parent. That's all. If you didn't check out the spoiler section, then that's cool too. You don't know what I'm talking about. You're wondering like, what in the world is she going on about? So we're going to wrap this up before I get too weird. Did I even say this rating? 4.25 stars? Yes? No? Maybe? Really? I did enjoy it. Obviously, I made this very unplanned video about it that I have no idea when it's going up. I really don't at this point. But I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll check out some of my other ones if you did, and consider subscribing to stick around for more book reviews, unboxings, and every Monday we do the weekly new book releases that I'll put like here. That was probably loud crinkly. I'm going to return this to the library now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye y'all.